2024. Here's today's history lesson. 1988, we had the second referendum about local government, right? And over 6.2 million Australians said, oh no, we don't want local government, right? Back then we had a voting population of 10 mil. So it was about 2/3 of the population said, no, you can stick your local government up your ass, right? And what happened was the politicians of the day and the governors of the day, the people that, like our parents, should have fronted up to, they didn't bother fronting up to the governor. And so these governors and the politicians of the day and every other governor and politician since, they just keep on ignoring the democratic process, see? And none of us average Joes keep fronting up to the governor. And then the theft happens, right? And they send out these things called local government rates, like council rates and water rates and shit. And people keep paying them. When what they actually should be doing is fronting up at the gate of the governors and going, nah, hang on a minute, Gov. Seems you're out of line. Seems you're involved in a little bit of treason. Perhaps a little money laundering, may I suggest. Since 1988, that's quite a refund that every taxpayer is going to be due once we upend this Freemason shit show. And of course, you know, parking fines and any other fines that have, or permit fees that have been implemented by your local council, they're all going to have to be refunded once you front up at the governors and call them out. Put the governors back in the hot seat. Because the fact is, folks, since 1988, your governors have been completely ignoring you and the democratic process. You know, we've actually had 2 referendums on this local government issue, and your governors keep getting away with just ignoring you because most of you have not fronted up at the governor as is required. Point 4 of letters patent, you actually must appear before the governor to give the instruction. Yes. So that's near on 40 years worth of money laundering that you've allowed and successive generations have allowed simply because you won't front up the governor. You ready to change that now, folks? Would you like a refund? Well, let's start standing at the governor's gate together and let's see what we might be able to achieve. Right. We just spoke about local councils. LGAs. And the reason why they're still sitting there is because the generation of our parents and grandparents didn't front up to the governors and go, hang on a sec, Gov, we had the referendum. Now you can't continue on with this treason, darling, so you better stop. Well, because our parents and grandparents didn't front up, they've got away with this for nearly on 40 years, right? It's just theft. It's out and out theft. Now, I want to draw your attention to groups, folks, okay? Got a lot of these common law groups. We got constitutional lawyers and legal fraternity people, and over the last 40 years, we've had groups for everything. And a lot of these groups have been protesting about the restrictions local councils are putting on everything. Now, that should highlight to you that these people that masquerade as constitutional lawyers, they're part of your corruption, okay? Because if those people were genuine, they would be telling you that you need to go to the governors and you actually physically have to stand and instruct the governor. But you'll notice none of these groups ever talk about that, never talk about the actual need to appear before your governor to give the instruction in order for it to be valid? Are you starting to question those people that masquerade as constitutional lawyers? And the fact that all of these groups don't work, does it? And the theft continues, because it is theft. Ladies and gentlemen, it is theft. It is organised theft. And they get away with it because average Joe folks don't turn up. So they're robbing you blind. And all of these groups and your entire judiciary is organised out of your local Masonic lodge. That's the network. And they get away with the piracy because average Joes just won't front up. So that's why they mock you. It's why you're paying, road tolls and all sorts of things that you shouldn't be paying. And of course, your local government's rules and regulations are the sinister arm of the United Nations plan for 15-minute cities and everything else. Those local governments are the mechanism they use to change zonings and all that sort of thing. Now, if our parents of the day back in 1988 had have actually stood up and surrounded the governor after the referendum when they kept getting their rates notices and all this shit, if they had have actually taken it to the governor's gate and said, listen, hang on a minute, love, jig's up, game's over, we had the referendum, so sort your shit out. Sort your executive council out and get this shit done. Now, had they done that, we wouldn't be dealing with this shit today. But because our parents and grandparents did not deal with it, we're going to have to deal with it. Okay? So when you've had enough of this Freemason shit show, Governor's Gate. Stand quietly. Ready yourself to give the instructions. Come on, Anzac. Sooner or later, these people have to be fronted and they have to be dealt to. Probably better that we do it sooner rather than later.